Hi soulmates, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are going to be learning how to make this dress. It's a very simple and well-detailed tutorial. If this is something you are interested in, watch to the end. Remember to leave a thumbs up for this video. If you're new here, I am Lillian. Please click the subscribe button. Also turn on the notification bell so that whenever I put up a new video you will be notified. On this channel I share mostly sewing tutorials. You will learn a lot from here. All right, so my online class is starting in 2 days time. So everything about the online class will be in the comment section. It's just pattern drafting. If you want to learn how to draft pattern properly like a pro, how to cinch your waist, everything that you need to know to sew a well-fitted dress, this class is definitely for you. Like I said, it's going to be starting in 2 days time and the venue is Telegram. So for more info or details, check the comment section. For today's tutorial, I'm working with 2 yards of akara. So this is the material that I'm going to be working with. And then for the down parts of the dress, I work with chiffon, and then I have roughly 4 yards of chiffon, and then that's the lining I'm working with. It's just the normal lining. And then for styling, I work with this fringe. All right, so this is what I work with. So we are going to dive right into pattern drafting. First, you are going to mark out your starting line. So I usually come down by 2 inches from the top of my paper. All right, so after doing that, this is the top line, and then this is the front part of the pattern. So we are going to be drafting on fold. So just as you can see me do now, I went ahead to fold my pattern paper into 2 like so. So after folding into 2, the next thing I'm going to do is to mark my neckline. So for the neck depth, I'm going to do 3.5 inch for my neck depth, and then for the neck width, I will also do 3.5 inch. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and then create my neckline, and then the next thing I'm going to do is to mark my chest line of 8 inches. Then I'll go ahead to create my chest line like so. All right, then the next line I'm going to mark is my bust point. So I'm going to come down by 10 inches. This is my bust point line. All right, I'm going to go ahead and then create my bust point just as you can see now, and then label out. And then the next line I'm going to mark is my half length or waistline. So I'm working with 16 inches as my front half length. So I'm going to go ahead and then label that out. So from my half length, I'm going to come down by 9 inches. This is my waist to hip length. I'm going to create my hip line and then label it out as well. All right, so after doing that, I'll come over to the top. I'm going to go in by my shoulder measurement, divide by 2 here, and then I'll also mark it on my chest line. I'm working with 7 inches. All right, I'm going to go ahead and then create my shoulder line, and then for my shoulder slants, I'll work with 1.5 inch and then connect back to my neck width. So I'm going to find the midpoint by folding my tape into 2 to my chest line. I'm going to go ahead and then mark the midpoint, then go in by 1/2 inch. All right, so I'm going to connect it back to my shoulder slants, and then on my chest line I will divide my round ball circumference by 4, and then I'm going to go ahead and then create my armhole like so. All right, so after doing that, I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple, divide by 2 on my waistline, my bust point, and then from my waistline I'm going to come down by 5 inch, align it by 4 inch as well. Then I'll create my shoulder line, my dart line like so. So for my dart intake, I'm working with 0.75 on both sides as you can see me do now. I'm going to connect to my bust point line, and then I'll bring it down to that 5 inches as well. All right, then I'm going to mark my round waist circumference divided by 4 here. Then for my dart intake is 1 inch in total, but I'm replacing just 1 inch because I want to cinch with 1/2 inch. I'm going to connect, and then on my waistline, I'm going to mark my waist circumference divided by 4. All right, so if you don't want to cinch, please do it to replace everything on your waistline. All right, so this is what I have. Then the next thing I'm going to do now is to mark my side dart of 1.5 inch and then connect to my bust point. All right, so this is it for this. So what I'm going to do now is to take my tracing wheel. Remember, this pattern is on fold. I'm going to trace out everything on the other side, and then I will also mark out whatever my tracing wheel is showing. For styling, come over to the side, come down by 2 inches, all right, and then come over to this side. You are going to extend the hip line at this point, and then for the length around here, I'm going to be doing 4 inches, all right. So what I'm going to do now, this is 4 inches, while this other side is 2 inches, all right, 2 4. And then what you are going to do is to connect. So you are going to connect from the 2 inches points down to the 4 inches points, just as you can see. So go ahead and then connect. All right, so this is what I have for the styling. So another thing I am going to do now is to go ahead and then I'm going to add my allowance around and then cut out. When you are done cutting out, all you are going to do is to set it aside and then bring in another pattern paper. All right, so when you bring in another pattern paper, all you are going to do is to mark your starting line. All right, so like I said, I always work with 2 inches. So I'm going to mark my starting line. This is actually for the back pattern. Remember, the one we drafted before was the front, so this is the back. So also fold into 2 as well. And then I'm going to mark out my chest line. I'm working with 8 inches, just like I did at the front. And then the next thing I'm going to mark is my back half length of 14.5 inch. Remember, the front was 16. Now I'm marking 14.5 inch. That was why I used 1.5 inch as my side dart, all right, to balance up the side length. So I'm going to come down by 9 inches from my waistline, as you can see. So this is it for my hip length. So this is all I have now. And then for my, I'm going to come over to the top, and then I'm going to come down by 2 inches as the neck depth, and then the neck width I'll maintain 3.5 inch as the front. Then I'm going to go ahead and then connect with a curve ruler. In my shoulder measurement, divide by 2 at this point, and then I'll also mark it on my chest line. Then I'll go ahead to create my shoulder line like so, and then I'm going to use 1.5 inch as my shoulder slant, and then connect it back to my neck width like so. All right, then I'm going to find the midpoint of my armhole by folding my tape into 2, and then I'm going to mark. All right, and then I'll go in by 1/2 inch and connect back to my shoulder slants. Then I'll mark my round ball circumference where I form my chest line. I'll go ahead to create my armhole, and then my nipple to nipple measurement divide by 2 on my waistline, my chest line, and then I'll come down by 6 inches from my hip line, from my waistline, sorry, align by 4 inches. I'll go ahead to create my dart length. Then for that intake, 0.75, just like we did at the front, I will connect it to the chest line, and then I will bring everything back to the 6 inches. All right, then I'm going to go ahead and then go in by my round waist circumference divided by 4. Remember, our dart intake is 1.5, but I'm replacing just 1 inch, and then I'll mark my round hip circumference divided by 4, my hip line. Then I'll connect everything together. On my waistline, I'm going to go in by 1/2 inch, all right, and then I'll connect it to my chest line like so, and then bring it to my hip line. All right, so this is going to be off. This is to avoid having bulge. So you can actually replace this as this at the side, but I'm not doing any replacement. So I'm going to use my tracing wheel to trace everything out on the other side. Remember, this pattern is already on fold, so I'm going to trace everything out on the other side, and then I will mark out whatever my tracing wheel is showing. We're going to bring in the front pattern. Remember, when we are joining, it's going to be right side facing the right side. So I'm going to turn the front like so. You can see how I turn it, right side facing the right side. Ignore me trying to close the side. That is not necessary, since we are going to align it at the waistline. So align it at the waistline, as you can see me do, and then mark. All right, and then you are going to come over to the side. You are also going to align it at the waistline, and then you are going to also mark as well. All right, so after marking, go ahead and then connect. Just go ahead and then add allowance round. So the neckline, I will add 1/2 inch, and then to the side 1 inch, just as usual, and then cut out. This part will cut out from the center back. You can actually add it to the side 1/2 inch. All right, so this is it for the whole pattern. I will go ahead and then I will cut out, and then I'll bring it back. All right, so this is it after I was done cutting out. I just added 1 inch as my allowance for zipper, and then I already cut out my lining, and then this is it for this as well. I already cut out, and then I added 1 inch as my zipper allowance, and then this is it for the lining. You can see my lining, that the wrong side is facing the wrong side of the lining or the main piece. So this is it for the center front as well. I already cut out, and then I mark out my dart. You can see that the wrong side is also facing the wrong side of my fabric. So what we are going to do now is to go ahead, and then we are going to sew off the whole dart. All right, both on the lining and then on the main piece. So this is it after I was done sewing the darts on all the piece, both the lining and then the main piece as well. All right, so this is it for the whole piece. What I'm going to do is to set the whole piece aside and then leave at the center front. So we are going to be draping now. So what you are going to do is to bring in your chiffon just a few inches. I'm going to cut off the rough edges, just as you can see me do. So we are going to go ahead and then drape now. Remember that this part actually have your bust, and we are not using body form, so you need to be careful. Don't make it too tight, so that it will contain your bust, so that it will not be too tight when you are wearing it. Hope that makes sense. So just folding the rough edges like I did, and then go ahead and then plait. So we are plaiting to this side of the armhole. So just as you can see me do now, just go ahead and then repeat the same thing. We are going to go ahead and then just hold it down at this point. So this is it after I was done doing that, as you can see now. So I'm going to try to hold down the rough edges at this point, and then what I'm going to do is to cut off the excesses that I have here. All All right, so after cutting off the excesses, what I'm going to do is to take everything to this side of my armhole. So just watch what I'm going to do. I will take everything to this side of my armhole, then I'll go over and then also stitch it to hold it together. All right, so I'm going to do that, and then this is it after I was done, and then I already cut all the excess. So I'm going to bring in the back pattern now, and then I'll place it right side facing the right side, just as you can see. Join by 1/2 inch on the shoulder, and then other side by 1 inch. Do the same thing to this other side, and then I'll do just that and bring it back. Do the same thing to the lining as well. So this is it after I was done. All right, so as you can see, I am done joining at the side. So this is what I have. I'm going to bring in my lining. I already did the same thing, so I'm going to spread the main piece open and then spread the lining. What I'm going to do, right side facing the right side, join the neckline and then the side by 0.1 inch, then turn everything out at the down and then top stitch. All right, this is it after I was done joining. So I turn everything out at the hemline and then I stitch, as you can see. All right, so what we are going to do now is to bring in your chiffon. So you are going to make a ruffle with it and then do the same thing with your lining. So you are going to make the ruffle and then with your lining. This is actually to give it more volume. So you are doing the ruffle together with the lining and then join it at the down by 1/2 inch. So I will do just that and then I will bring it back. All right, so this is it after I was done. As you can see, I was done adding and then I went ahead to iron out. So you can see the lining. I did everything together, like I made the ruffle with the main piece and the lining. So what I'm going to do now, we are going to have another draping at this point. So all I need to do is to cut off my rough edges. So depending on the length you want, that is actually what you are going to cut out. All right, so I'm going to just go ahead and then plait this together. You can see how I'm trying to cover the rough edges. I'm putting it in. All right, so I'm going to place it at this point like this, and then I'm going to go ahead and then tack. So you are just going to carefully tack. Please, I guess we all know how to tack. If you don't know how to, just watch how I'm doing it. Remember, we are tacking at the top, so you don't need to like try to drag your thread, or else you have like you will squeeze that point. I don't know the right words to use at this moment, please. So just try, when you put your needle in, bring it out like almost at the same spot and then just go like that. You don't need to drag your thread or anything, or else you will squeeze that point. In fact, it will look somehow when you're done. So just carefully tack, watch what I'm doing, and then repeat the same thing. This is what I have here after I was done. So what we are going to do, we are going to bring in another piece. So we are going to bring, the length of this is actually 17 inches that I work with. Remember, you can actually fit this on yourself to know the right length. So for the second length, this one I have now is roughly 16 to that 17 inches. So you can see how I'm trying to fold in, and then I'll also fold into two. So I'm going to come over here and then I will tack as well. After tacking, what we are going to do is to take it to the shoulder, and then we are also going to tack. So at this shoulder, there is actually a way I tack it here. So just watch carefully, all right? So you are going to put in your needle from the inside, and then you are going to tack. So when you are tacking, you are going to put in your needle and then bring it out almost at the same point where you put in your needle from. So just watch what I'm doing. So with that, the thread will almost look like invisible. So you will hardly notice the threads on the shoulder. Just watch carefully what I'm doing and then repeat the same thing. So when you put in your needle, you bring it out at exact the same point, almost at the same point, of course, not exact the same point, and then it will give you like that invisible thread effect. So you won't have your thread all over at that point, so you can hardly tell that it was actually tacked. So just watch. As you can see, this is it. You can barely see my thread with the way I tack. So this is what we have. So what we are going to do now, we are going to just leave the other side. It will just be dangling. That's the style. So just leave it like that. So what we are going to do now is this side of it that we have left. So we are going to, at this point, what you are going to do is just to use your fringe to style it however you want to, just to cover up that tacking that we have around there. So just use your fringe to cover it, whatever you have, cover it, and then do your normal design. Then what you have left, use it to design this point with gum. Just add it. You can tack as well. So what we have now here, we are going to bring it to this side. So at the exact armhole, we are going to also tack at this point. So just watch what I'm doing. All right, so the length I work with here is 17 inches. Remember, it depends. So you can actually put it on yourself to see the point where you can actually lift your hands. Then you can choose to make it the 17 inches or reduce it to whatever works for you. So I'm going to also tack it here. So just watch how I'm placing it. All right, you can see how I'm placing it. I'm also going to carefully tack it in such a way that you can barely see the threads that I used to tags. When you are done, just go ahead and then style however you want to, and then this is it for this video. So I'm going to hold this together with a gum, and then I will share the finished look with us. So this is the finished look. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and leave a comment when you find this video helpful. Share with friends that might likely find it helpful. Follow me on Instagram, address to fit by Lillian. Thank you so much. I will see you in my next video. Bye.